Hello, ladies and gentlemen. The speaker must be out, please. Speaker out. Okay, thank you. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Apostle Aridokino. It's a joy to be coming your way today. I'll be hosting a very special guest, and we're going to delve into some very serious and yet important issues. And we hope that it will give you some good insight and teach you some lessons as well. You will get to see how fortitude and determination and perseverance can pave the way. And above all, God's help. So if you find yourself in a situation not so good, I want you to rest assured that once you hang in there trusting God, He will make a way. Welcome. My name is Apostle Aridokino. Today we're going to be talking about a book which has been authored by a very special man. And the book is titled Foregone Conclusion. Foregone Conclusion. And on this note, I would like to welcome my guest today, Mr. Kenneth Ehigiene. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, we have been looking forward to today because we believe you have a very important story to share with our world. Sometimes things happen in life. It looks very bad, looks terrible, but like the scripture says, and I know you're a Christian, all things work together for good. To those who love God, and have been called according to His purpose. So today we're going to explore the experience of this young man and in his encounter with the European justice system. Well, Brother Kenneth, your book is entitled Foregone Conclusion. It suggests something that there was a conclusion that was drawn even before the case was even looked into properly.
Yes.
So, did you title the book this way because of what really happened?
Yes. Yes, in the sense that there were already some preconceived notion prior to whatever happened before me. It has existed before me, and even before my case. And it's still existing, and it's also going to exist.
Is it about you as a person or about who?
It can happen to any person, you know. But in this particular case, I decided to title it Foregone Conclusion because of the way things went. In the first place, why Foregone Conclusion? You know, that's what some people ask me. Why the title Foregone Conclusion? Well, Foregone Conclusion is, like I said, a preconceived notion in an individual or a group of individuals or a country or a nation, a group of people or a race about something, you know, which is totally fallacious, you know, based on a completely erroneous premise. You know, you conclude that something is this without having a justification for it.
Wow.
You know? So that's why I titled the book Foregone Conclusion.
So in other words, you have spoken for other people who may not have had a voice like yours.
Precisely. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Well, we're going to go into this story. This is the book actually was published 2016, Foregone Conclusion. If you haven't yet received a copy, I recommend you grab a copy. It would rivet you. You would be caught up in it from the very first page to the very last page. And it's important for you to hear other people share their personal stories. Now, I haven't read everything, but I've browsed through the pages of the book, and honestly, I'm itching to really sit down and digest it very well. It's a very fascinating story, but we're here so you can take us a bit into the pages of the book and to tell us, you know, your experience as you went through, because this is not fiction. This is a real life story. Ladies and gentlemen, as we proceed and you feel like giving us a call, you can call the studio line 020-337-4160. You can, of course, send us a WhatsApp message also on the 06 line. That's 06 84606550. Anyway, let's stick with this for now. When I began to read through the book, I noticed a few things. That in December 2001, there's something you refer to as a nightmare in the chapter 1 of your book. The nightmare, and in that nightmare, you describe an incident, and I think I would like you to share with our viewers what that nightmare was. But I think it was about some people who kind of invaded your office.
Yeah.
Please take us a bit behind to that scene.
Actually, in December, December 14th, 2001, our business office was in Ehigiene. We had other offices or shops everywhere, but we just...
What were you dealing with? What kind of business was it?
We were into prepaid calling cards. We had our own prepaid calling cards.
Yes.
And we also had our telecom systems. And so on and so forth, So what happened was on that particular evening, I just came into the office. I just gone around to different agents who buy our prepaid calling cards, which is called One Touch.
One Touch, okay.
It was a very hot card then because it's not like now. It was difficult to find a mobile card, a card that could go through the mobile system. So we produced one at that point in time. So
wow, amazing!
It was really a hot cake. So I'd gone around the agents to pick up a large sum of money. So I walked into the office just a few minutes past 6, and I went into the inner office to try to do my administration. While I was just busy trying to settle down before the computer, I felt the door open, I wasn't looking because I never expected a stranger to come into that place. I thought maybe because my partner and other colleagues were in the office. So I thought maybe it was somebody who just came into the office. So, and I was still busy trying to set up the computer when I felt the nozzle of a gun on my head.
Wow.
And then I turned and I looked and I saw a complete stranger or somebody I know that I'd seen somewhere before. And he pointed the gun. I said, "No tricks. If you play any tricks, I'll shoot you." And then my mind just went like completely blank, as if I was about to die, And the guy said, where are all the money you have, And before I knew it, more guys came in and they had cutlasses.
They had overpowered those in the
in the
front office and all.
They were all. Later, I found out that they were all lying down. They were made to lie down.
Really?
So I was the last person because I was in the inner office. And then a lot of them came in and. But there was a safe in the office, and I had a bag beside me, And they said, "Where's the money you have, So they started ransacking everywhere, and they saw the safe. They said, "Where's the key of the safe?" Normally, I don't keep the key of the safe. My partner had the key of the safe. And I said, "I don't have the key of the safe." And one of them said, "Shoot him so I will know we mean business." I said, And then my partner who was lying on the ground said, No, don't shoot him. Please, I normally keep the key. Let me come and look for the key for you, And then at this point in time, they were using the cutlasses, everything to hit me. Yes, they had machetes with them, So eventually, they made us...
You mean this happened here in Amsterdam?
Ehigiene.
Southeast?
Yes. Mr. Osei of Trans-Africa Travel can be a witness to it because he was the one who later called the police for us, after they had finished. So what happened was they made us lie on the ground. We were lying on our own pool of blood. And they searched everywhere. Eventually, the bag I brought with money, they took the bag and the safe. My partner could not find the key of the safe because of the confusion. So they said, "Shoot him, shoot them," And we started begging them, "There's nothing much in the safe. Everything you want is in the bag." Right. So they took the bag. They took a lot of prepaid. Apart from our own prepaid calling cards, then we had the Vodafone and other ones, and we sell telephones and so on. They took as much as they could take, filled their pockets up, everything.
Really?
They spent, I think, close to half an hour there. And after they are finished, they locked the door, left us in our own pool of blood. They tied everybody's hands, left us in our own pool of blood, and they left. So eventually, when they left, somebody was able to struggle and release himself. And then he started hitting the door to get the attraction of outsiders. And that was when Mr. Osei, who was our neighbor on the other side, heard our screams. And he called in the police, and the police eventually came in. So, I refer to this as a nightmare because a year after this, that was when the other or the bigger nightmare started. So that's why when I started my story, I said I refer to the nightmare of a year before.
A year before.
You know,
it's such a coincidence. I mean, I can imagine you bringing that up to relate to what followed the following year. What an experience! Wow.
Coincidentally, it happened to have happened in December again. Happened, you know, so that's why at the same point in time, I dreaded December. When December came, I was always scared because I don't know what's going to happen again.
I could imagine. Now, this kind of, it stirs up some curiosity. Those who did that thing, looking back, was it that you had an axe to grind with them, or they had an axe to grind with you, or there was something that you had in common, you couldn't settle properly? I mean, or just that they were people who were trolling you because they wanted to rob you. Can you make some sense of this whole thing?
I never knew them before, and the most unfortunate part was they were Nigerians.
How did you know?
Because at that point in time, there was this Nigerian gang that was busy with robbing Nigerian businesses and robbing Nigerians in their houses. You know, it was very known then. You know, we never knew that we would also be victims, but whenever they came, the way they spoke, their accent, everything showed.
You could tell.
They tried to cover up by trying to speak Surinamese or Antillans by speaking something like ma pa 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 pa, to behave otherwise, But you could see it in them. And like I said, when they came into my office, when I saw the face that pointed the gun at me, I knew I had seen that face, but where I could not. But he said to me, "I know you know me, so no tricks." So there and there I knew, of course, that we were dealing with Nigerians. Yeah. And eventually, when they were caught, they were also a Nigerian gang. Wow. And I forgot to mention that it was because of my telephone.
Yes.
That was how they were tracked and traced.
Because they took your telephone.
Yes, I just bought a new telephone, which I had on the table. So I was just busy calling on the phone, and they took the phone out of my hand.
Yeah.
So eventually, when the police came, they said, "The phone you had, is this the box?" Because I had the box on the table. They said, "Yes." So they took the EMI number, and they set it on the trace. And they told us that the phone was switched on, like, after our robbery, a week after our robbery, the phone was switched on, and they started using it. So from there, they were tracing them, and eventually they were caught.
Wow. Incredible story. Okay, now we're going to try and get into the real foregone conclusion. I'm sure it's been 5 or 6 years, after this incident. I don't know whether the scars have healed. Something like that doesn't disappear, I know. Okay, but let's try to go further. Then in a year later, that's 2002, December, the following year, then there was an arrest. You were arrested in your home, in front of your family. You were kind of working, and they were banging on the door. Before you know, they stormed into the room. It was plainclothes, but also uniformed policemen, and they began to, search everywhere, frisk you up and down, and to begin to. So tell us a bit about.
Yes,
what all that meant.
I was sleeping when I heard loud bangs on the door, and at first I was confused. I said, what's really going on,
Yes.
And I struggled into my backyard, and then I went to the door, and I looked through the latch. I saw a couple of white faces, they were hitting, said, "Open the door, else we'll break the door." And then I struggled to open it. Before I even opened the door, they had forced it, and I was on the ground.
Really?
And they rushed on me and put my hands behind me and handcuffed me and said, "You are under arrest." I said, "Under arrest?" I said, "For what?" They said, "Well, you just wait and see." Then they raised me up. My mother was there, my wife and my kids, they were all there. They told everybody to sit still, that everything should be frozen. Nobody should move, And then the leader came in and said, "Are you Kenneth Ehigiene?" I said, "Yes." "You were born 9th of February 1968. I said, "Yes." "Born in Ehigiene in Nigeria?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Okay, you are under arrest." I said, "For what?" They said, "For drug dealings." I said, "No, you people must be making a mistake. I think you are the wrong address." He said, "Well, no problem. When the investigating magistrate comes, we will now start to search your house.
Yeah.
So, but you can spare us the details by telling us where you have the drugs in the house.
Wow.
I said, well, I don't have any drugs, so like I told you, you are the wrong address. They said, okay, where are the weapons? I said, I don't have any weapons. I said, okay. And then...
now, at this point, I'm just wondering, do you think somebody framed you? I mean, when all this was going on, I'm sure, or a little bit down the road, did you think somebody framed you? Because it's,
nobody
to be
framed
taken unawares by this was
nobody
quite
framed me, but I later found out certain things. As we go on in the story,
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
tell
bring
you
that
how it came about.
Okay.
So it was not a frame, but all still boils down to what I said, foregone conclusion.
Sure.
Because if not for foregone conclusion,
Conclusion.
they would have done their investigation well and
Yeah.
found out that they had the wrong man. Because prior to my arrest, they were trailing me. For 4 weeks, I was being trailed. My phone was tapped. They were following me everywhere. Even on the night, the morning they came to arrest me, I saw a car following me, but I didn't put any thought to it, because after that incident of the robbery a year before,
Yeah.
I was very conscious about what happens around me. Especially, I go home late in the night from the business, so I always make sure nobody's following me or whatever,
Yeah.
But I had this notion
Instinct,
that there was instinct that somebody was following me, and just like it would happen. The next day, I was arrested. So they had all the time. They followed me. They tapped my phone, did everything. They never found anything contrary to
Yes.
what I do. But they still went ahead to come and arrest me,
Wow.
And that's what I call foregone
Conclusion.
But as this story progresses,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's the book.
So when they came in that morning, and then the rector or the investigating magistrate came in and read me my rights.
It's not in the court?
No, still in the house. He read me my rights and said...
magistrates could come to people's homes?
Yes. He read me my rights and said they were going to start the search of my house. And if I had drugs or weapons anywhere, I should tell them. I said, like I told your colleague, I don't have anything in the house. He said, okay. Well, if we don't find anything, within 2 hours, you are a free man. I said, okay, no problem. So I thought they were just going to make me sit and search my house. I had nothing to hide, nothing to fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then they said, well, they asked him, can we take him now to the station? I said, to the station? They said, yes. So they took me to the room, removed the handcuff, told me to get dressed, because I thought I was going to be there while they did their search.
Yeah.
And then while I was getting dressed, they saw a safe in my house, and they said, can I open the safe? Which, of course, or rather, I gave them the key. There was nothing to open the safe. There was nothing. So they dressed me up, and then, or rather, I got dressed, and they took me downstairs. When I got downstairs, I was in for the shock of my life. Because the whole neighborhood was surrounded with policemen and so much vehicles. And then I looked, I said, am I such a big criminal that so much police force should be used? And then suddenly I realized that even I had put on a black trouser, a black shirt, and a black mantle. I said, oh, people would now think this is a gangster. Look at the way he's even dressed, So they took me to the car, 4 of them. I sat, they pushed me on the back seat, 2 on my side, 2 in front, And while they were going, they didn't drive through the normal road. They drove on top of
the
bicycle lane and whatever. And I was asking them, why are you both driving like this? They told me, it's none of your business. So mind your own business. So then they drove me away and took me to the headquarters in Manistraat in Amsterdam, in the city. And then after going through some rituals, I was eventually put in a cell, and they left me there. And I was thinking, well, 2 hours time, I didn't have a clock or a wristwatch or anything, but I just kept counting in my head how long it would take. After 2 hours, this whole nightmare would be over. But no, that was not the case. Eventually, when the latch opened, it was one of the guards pushing bread and tea for me, I said, oh, okay. And then eventually again, one of the guards came in again. It was to tell me that the detectives were waiting for me and they wanted to speak to me. So I thought, well, this is the moment to go home. So I went into a small office with 2 detectives already seated, and they told me, Mr. Kenneth, Ehigiene, we are not the ones looking for you. It is the Germans who are looking for you on drug charges.
Germans?
I said, oh, really? Yeah.
How did that German thing come in? That's the part I would like to understand.
Yeah, actually, it started.
Do you have a business in German as well?
No, I don't.
The branch of your shop?
No. There was a German girl who was arrested in Turkey for trying to smuggle
Andrea
Roloff for trying to smuggle drug out of Turkey to Italy, and when she was arrested, the news came on the television, radio, in the media generally, that an 18-year-old girl was caught trying to smuggle drugs.
Yeah.
So in the process, her trial was a sensational one in Turkey and came out on Italy and everything. She was sentenced to 6 years imprisonment. So after about a year, the German government, they mediated. The story came up in the parliament, and everybody found the girl to have been innocent because she claimed she didn't know what was in the bag, that it was her girlfriend who gave it to her. And eventually, the bag, according to the girl, was given to her by a group of Nigerians there in Turkey or wherever, So the girl actually, when she was sentenced, the German parliament now mediated on the story, on a case, and asked her to be brought to Germany to sit for her, to sit there for her jail term. So when she was eventually brought back to Germany...
What was she tried before she was brought to Germany?
Yeah, she was tried in Turkey.
Turkey, yeah,
yes,
Turkey, yeah.
There she was sentenced to 6 years. So after 1 year, she was now taken over to Germany. To do the rest of her prison term.
Yeah.
So when she got to Germany, the case was reopened, and that was when a couple of girls who had also done the same thing now came forward, and it was one of the girls who gave a photograph to the German police that she was also a courier, and eventually the guys who gave her the drugs in Turkey, she happened to have taken photographs of them, and she gave the photograph to the police there. So the police now started a manhunt for the guys, because they said the guys, eventually, the whole thing started from Amsterdam, according to what they said. The kingpin is in Amsterdam. Now he directs his people in Turkey to hand over drugs to the ladies he sends from Amsterdam, and they eventually will take the drug to other parts of Europe or wherever, So when the photos got to their hand, they now concentrated on the Amsterdam route, especially people they had caught from Amsterdam. And one of them happened to be an ex-sister-in-law of mine. She was arrested in Germany, and eventually she was
shown a Dutch
lady. Yeah, she was shown the photographs, and without even blinking, she said, "Oh, that's my brother-in-law." I said, "Your brother-in-law?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Oh, what's his name and whatever?" She couldn't even spell my name. She just gave them a name, described where I live to them, and so on and so forth. And the Germans, without even investigating, they told their Dutch counterpart to please to go and arrest me. So that was when, and they told them to get as much evidence against me, and that was where they started the tap of my telephone lines that started following me around. They did this for like 3 months. Eventually before the arrest, according to the papers that were later shown to me by my lawyer. So even though after tapping my phone and following me everywhere, they never found anything, but eventually the Germans kept putting pressure, arrest him, because it was a very big case in Germany, so they wanted to have it solved, So eventually the Dutch came for me on December 18th and arrested me, So that was the genesis of the whole problem,
Wow.
But I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Being a citizen of Netherlands, and being harassed this way, so now they found out that you are innocent. So how did they resolve the whole issue? Because you are not just you are a citizen of this place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's correct.
Yeah. So why did they harass you this way and before pushing you over to the Dutch German government? Why?
Well, it's a whole long story.
Sorry.
Everything is in the book. But I'll tell you one thing. Before I was arrested, I got my Dutch passport in 1996. This happened in the year 2002.
Yes.
Eventually, in the case file that was brought before me, there was never a time I was referred to as a Dutch citizen. They referred to me as a Nigerian citizen.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
In the case file, I was never, ever referred to as a Dutch citizen.
Did your lawyer not plead
and that's what I mean by foregone conclusion. Because they know, the moment they put a Nigerian there, and they assume that Nigerians are criminals, foregone conclusion. It is easy to make their case,
press the case
and pin their case. They would rather have a Nigerian there than have a Dutch citizen there. I had to prove in court that I had the Dutch nationality. Because when we got to court, the first court, everything there was Nigerian. I told the judge, I also possess the Dutch nationality. And he just said, oh, really? Then why do you have your Nigerian nationality? I said, I have both nationalities. When I acquired my Dutch nationality, nobody told me to relinquish my Nigerian nationality. Yes. So I've kept both since then. And the judge now told the prosecutor, could you please investigate that? So I had to prove that I was a Dutch eventually before the justice system.
Now, you being a Dutch citizen, how would that have influenced the case in your favor?
Well, in a way, it would have been slightly better.
Yes, I think so.
Slightly better. Because when you are in Nigeria, the way you are treated will be different from when you are Dutch. Yes. For example, if I had been convicted and taken over to Germany, as a Dutch citizen, I would have been able to say to them, listen, after some time, I want to be transferred back to Holland to serve my jail term because I'm a Dutch citizen. And that would definitely apply to me. But as a Nigerian citizen, that can never apply because they do not have any such treaty with Nigeria. So I would have served my full jail term, and after that, I'd been sent back to Nigeria. You know?
Wow. So the lady, so now your own ex-sister-in-law implicated you and got the German government and together with the Dutch police to begin a trail to come after you. So now take us along the story. I mean, what happened from this point on?
We went to our very first. When the detectives had already finished and told me, well, the Germans are the one looking for you. They told me the next day you are going before the judge. And eventually, I went before the judge, and then my lawyer told them that this must be a mistake. The judge, I could remember a statement she made. She said, the German investigators are equally as good as the Dutch investigators, so they could never have made a mistake. Because my lawyer told them, I know this gentleman, he's been a businessman, he never handles in drug. You know, all these things you're saying that he was seen at the central station handling a bag to a lady. He has traveled to so many places around the world, South America, dealing in drugs and so on. It's all a cock and fable story. You know, it's not true. The lady said no.
But as they were, implicating with those things, were they able to provide the proof that you traveled in all those places?
Precisely. Now, my lawyer told them to substantiate their claim. The judge now said, okay, she was going to remand me in jail for 18 days to allow the Germans to substantiate their claim. And my lawyer told them, no, you don't have to remand him in jail. This is a Dutch citizen. He has a permanent home address and everything. The lady refused to listen. So eventually, that was how she remanded me in jail, and I had to spend my Christmas and my New Year in jail. So, and not just in jail, I was also put in isolation, whereby I had no contact with the world whatsoever.
This was here in the Belma?
In the Belma bias here in Amsterdam. You know, and I could also remember that later when I got out of the isolation, I understand that even the guy who killed Pim from time there was underneath me, you know, because you don't even see nobody, you know. Once one is brought out, the other is brought inside, so you don't have any contact whatsoever, you know. So eventually, in the new year, the Germans now brought their story that I had been to Turkey on several occasions, handing over drugs to little girls to take over to different parts of Europe. They said I'd done it 3 times, and they mentioned so much heroin that I had given to, drugs I had given to the girls, and they were asking for a 12-year jail term. You know, and eventually they came again with a 4th one, and this time they increased it to 15 years. 15 years of imprisonment, you know. So I told them, well, this is just all a cock and bull story, and we'll have to fight it in the court of law. They asked me if I wanted to choose the simpler route, and that is agree to this and go to Germany to defend myself, or stay in Holland and fight for my defense. And of course, my lawyer did not have to advise me on that, because I know I'm not the one. Why should I even go to Germany to prove what does not exist? So I opted to stay in Holland to fight the case.
Right.
And that's where the battle started. We went to, first my lawyer asked for bail, and even told them I was ready to post a bail of 100,000 to have my freedom. The judges refused and said, because I possess the Nigerian nationality, I could easily run to Nigeria. And once I'm in Nigeria, I'm out of the reach of the law. So no amount of money should be accepted for my bail.
Really?
You know? Yeah. So eventually I was, and they told me to prepare for my defense 3 months after my arrest, you know. So eventually I said, okay. And then there was a lady that had just taken into employment, then a German lady whom I refer to. Actually, the book is dedicated to her. You know, Regina Anderson.
Yes.
You know, so she now said to me, she came to see me and said, well, this is a German thing, and I know a very good German lawyer who could take up the case, a human rights lawyer, you know, who could take up the case. So if you give me the authority, I will contact this lawyer, you know. And she eventually did. And the lawyer agreed to take up the case. And the lawyer came to see me in jail with the case file. So when he came, he had 2 suitcases with him. Briefcases, you know. Not briefcases, suitcases. And he said to me, case materials. He even told me that this is not just all. This is just the most important case materials. You know, when he sat down, I sat in front of him. He opened one of them. I saw big folders. Then he brought out one folder. And then he turned some pages and started showing me some photographs. He said, this is the photograph they claim is you that was identified in Germany. And they said, you are the one. I looked at the photograph. My lawyer is a Surinamese then. He also, I said, this is not me. And I said to my Surinamese lawyer, look at the photograph. He said, no, this is not you. You know, if I could.
On the back, there are some pictures.
There,
This one.
Know? That's my photograph, but then of the suspect, that's page 198.
198.
How could they have made such a silly mistake?
In this modern world.
Wow.
It's
the guy on the top right. That's the guy they claim that I am.
Okay, that's the guy on the right.
Yeah.
Over here on.
Yeah, that's the guy on the photograph they said I am.
Okay.
You know, and the other ones are photographs of me that were taken to make a comparison with the guy's photograph to show that I was not the one. You know, so he showed me this photograph and I said I was not the one.
That's clear.
And I told my German...
This is you, but this is not you.
Precisely.
That's somebody else.
And I told my Surinamese lawyer to look at the photograph, and he looked at it and said, you're not the one.
Yeah.
You know, and the German lawyer said, oh, you're not the one. Oh, he said, that makes it interesting. He said, what also makes it interesting is that in their rush to get somebody arrested, they made so many blunders that, for example, all the evidences given by the witnesses, that none of them correspond. For example, one said, oh, he's a tall guy, he's about 1.85 meters. I'm not up to about 1.85 meters.
Yes.
Another one said, oh, he's so short, he's about 1.70. You know? And most of them could not pinpoint, could not really say, this is the man on the photograph. They said, oh, he looks like him. Oh, he's similar to him. But at the end of the day, they brushed all those things and said, I was the one and I should be arrested. You know? And eventually, when they were busy with the investigation, they told the Dutch to send a photograph or send information about me. The Dutch now sent an old photograph from the Gemeente they had in their archive to them. Yeah. What they now did was, they now took this guy's photograph out of their compilation, and they now replaced mine and started using that for their investigation. And let me see. Look at the compilation.
Somebody's saying here, this is very sad, Kenneth. Somebody's saying this here. People are responding from this broadcast on Facebook. So
we had some compilation. Okay. Yes. Now, if you look
That's
at
page 178. Okay.
Yes, 178.
Yeah.
Now, this was the very first compilation that was shown to my ex-sister-in-law. She saw this photograph and said, I was the one. You know, so eventually when they received the photograph from the Clemente, you see, this is new compilation they made. Okay. They now removed the guy's photograph and put mine. And if you look at the photograph, because of these things that are covering, in this first compilation, because one of the witnesses said the guy uses glasses. Picture number, this guy uses glasses because of so that I don't infringe into their privacy. That's why I had to put a bar to cover up their faces.
Yeah, indeed.
Number 1 uses glasses. Number 3 uses glasses. And the last guy, 3 people uses glasses here.
Right.
That was in the very first original compilation. Now, when they made a second compilation with my photograph in it, if you look, none of them uses glasses apart from me. They now went back to the same witness, you know, to say, who's the guy here?
From the
and
list.
the guy said, oh, it looks like this guy. You know, because she had already said he uses glasses. And they now went to her with a picture of 6 people with only 1 person on glasses. You know, is that not leading the witness?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, you see, the lawyer showed us all these abnormalities and told us the whole case was totally biased. You know, that there were so many mistakes made, so many blunders, that he was going to go back and write a report, an objection against it, and he was going to quash my my detention, you know. And I was very hopeful that I was going to be released very soon. But when he got back to Germany, actually he did write, but they rejected it. And at this point in time, because he had given me hopes that I was going to be released, so I was not concerned about the court case here in Holland, which was coming up on March 18th. But the moment he told me I had lost the case, then I was very frantic. Then I had to get enough evidence to prove to the judge here that I was not the one. You know? So eventually, even though this had happened a couple of years back before, I was able to get about 51 pieces of evidence to show that I couldn't have been the person they were talking about, because on their charges, they mentioned just one specific day. The others was between, they weren't sure. They would say, for example, between on the 3rd of March and 6th of March, this gentleman traveled to Turkey and delivered drugs. But there was just one particular day, on the 4th of April, where they said it was me who was in Turkey to deliver drugs. And as God would have it, on this particular day, I was at my lawyer's office here in Amsterdam dealing with the case of my... I was unlawfully terminated. And secondly, I had been to the sports school on that day, because I went to my sports school here in Kine and asked them to bring, my lawyer went there and asked them to bring their records of their registration. And they found out that I was in gym. And on that particular day too, I carried out so many activities, you know, and all these were presented to the judge in court, you know, the 51 piece of evidence, you know. At that point in time, I was also doing my Microsoft exams, and everything that was presented to them, the prosecutor said they were all probabilities. For example, my having gone to the gym, the prosecutor said I could have given my pass to somebody else to cover up my tracks, that a real criminal would
Foregone conclusion indeed.
Precisely, will always have a way to do his things. About
really?
About my lawyer saying that I was with him on the court day, he said it was not compulsory that I must be with my lawyer to discuss it. My lawyer could have handled the case without me being there. You know, everything was possible. It was possible. It's possible. It's possible. And eventually, at the end of the day, I was given the opportunity to speak. And I brought out the photograph and I told the judge, look at this photograph. I'm not the one on this photograph. If you have any doubts, please let us call an expert. It was as if I was talking
if I may just interrupt, it's that they did not do any like forensic detective work in all of this, because it looks so childish, and the whole process looks a bit like trial and error, kind of trial and error. I think it's a disgrace. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this program, we're talking about the book Foregone Conclusion, written by Kenneth Ehigiene, who has had an encounter with the European justice system, and this is sharing with us so we can see what sometimes can go wrong. You cannot trust 100% in a human system. it is laced with flaws and inconsistencies and sometimes even bias. And so you got to be aware of this and be on your guard and do not allow anything like this to ever happen. So if you want to give us a call, you may do so on the studio line 020-3374-160. You see the number on the screen as we proceed. It's amazing. Now, you've given us quite a bit of detail about what is going on, but I would want to quickly run through the book, some parts of the book, so you can tell us what really happened. For example, in chapter, let me see, chapter, the scandal, that's chapter, scandal, what is it now? Yeah, chapter 3. You spoke about a certain scandal. You wrote about that. I tried to look at that, but I didn't quite get what you were trying to say.
Yes.
About what happened there.
Yes, that was when I came before the investigating magistrate.
Yeah.
And she told me that I was there for drugs and I'd been dealing in drugs. And she came up with a story whereby I'd been to the central station. They found me. They saw me handing over a bag to a lady. And I'd been to several South American countries. You know,
okay.
You know, so I said, this is a scandal. This is scandalous. You know, I've never dealt or seen drugs in my life.
Wow.
So how could you be accusing me of all this?
It's unbelievable.
You know?
You know, being an African, I can imagine you wondering what on earth could have brought such, bad luck, in quotes, onto you. I'm sure you'd have been wondering what on earth could have happened. Because we Africans tend to look at things from a more deeper spiritual point of view. Yeah, we don't take everything on surface value, and so I could imagine, whilst all this were hitting you, coming at you, I mean, no matter how hard you were trying to fight, it was like it wasn't working. All the more they tried to prove that you were lying, and it must have been crazy for you.
Yeah, precisely. I could even remember, like I mentioned in my book, the more I tried telling them I was not the one, the more they kept on tying the knot around my neck. Every time they called me to the registry to pick up a letter, I would think, oh, maybe they have found out the truth of saying I'm not the one.
Yeah.
But when I get there, it's another story. Like the very first time they called me to the registry, rather than thinking, oh, they found out the truth, they gave me a letter to go into isolation. I went into isolation for 3 weeks. After that, they brought another letter. They called me again to come to the registry. I went there again, 2 letters. You can go off isolation, but now they brought the charges. That I had been to Turkey 3 times on 3 different occasions. I had given so much amount of drugs, so they were asking for 12 years of imprisonment. After that again, they called me to the registry again. I thought, oh, now maybe the truth is going to come out. They came out with a 4th charge, and now this time they were asking for 15 years of imprisonment. So every time I kept on trying, thinking positive that they were going to find out the truth. They kept on tying the noose around my neck.
So in this whole process, our own government or embassy, were they aware of it?
They were not.
It is a very big shock to me that the Dutch people could not identify with you as their own citizen. So what about the Nigerians then? And my second question is it that Nigeria has such a very negative image here, or what?
Yes.
So that those who are listening to this broadcast have to know that these are some of the things those in the diaspora are going through. You see, because I cannot understand how these people who are trained, I mean, the police are trained systematically to identify issues and to know the correct, before they get people arrested, you have to be sure that is the person.
No matter
this mistake about the Dutch police and also the German police, so I begin to wonder what is really, how could they be so biased about you this way? And they refuse to identify that you have a dual nationality, and they are only referring you to the side of Nigeria. They don't refer you as a Dutch citizen. How?
Well, let me cut in there. You said something
about the embassy.
I will answer that of the embassy later, but let me first say that, like I always told you before, the fact that you may have the passport or whatever does not change most situation. But referring back to the embassy, they were not aware then.
Okay.
It was only after I came out, I tried to bring the awareness of the embassy to this, but they never heeded to me. I tried to see the ambassador, went to the embassy several times. The Nigerian embassy, they were more or less not so concerned about it, And that is, yes, they were not. Maybe now it's changed, but then they were not interested.
Wow.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen,
but let me come back to what you said.
Yeah.
You said these are very trained investigators.
Yeah.
In fact, in my book, I refer to them as the la creme of investigators, the German investigators.
Yeah.
They were one of the best. In fact, my case was the very first case handled by Europol or Eurojust. It was just an organization just set up there to handle international cases like this in Europe. Mine was the very first case, and mine was a scandal for them. So they swept it under the rug. They never mentioned it. Mr. Schulz, the German lawyer, also has it on his website that the very first case handled by Europol or whatever
was a fiasco,
a disaster. So they never ever talked about it. It's a cover-up system. That's the simple truth.
Okay.
We live in a cover-up system.
Yeah.
And like you said, no matter how hard or how good you are trained, if you do not have a free mind,
Yes, you'll be
if you are free of, it's only when you are free of foregone conclusions, that's when you can do your job straight. But when you have foregone conclusion in you, there is no way, no matter how trained you are, you'll be biased, you'll be prejudiced, and you can never do your job good.
That's it.
So we have to learn to free our minds.
To a layman listening to us, the foregone conclusion, what we are trying to say here is when people are free from biased situations, then they will be able to really, look from a very clear perspective. But
precisely.
Unfortunately,
that is not the
people
case.
are so biased when it gets to some certain racial groups.
That is what I mean by
precisely.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean,
foregone conclusion being a preconceived notion or a value or a belief held by an individual or a group of individuals or a nation or a country or a race about something or somebody, which is fallacious, which is based on an erroneous premise.
Exactly.
So going back, looking at this case, looking back now, you have no doubt whatsoever that there was a huge bias against you.
Precisely.
Okay, but then,
myself listening to it
but then, has it got anything to do? Is there any personal side to this bias, or just that you were only an unfortunate victim?
Yes.
I was just an unfortunate victim, and the fact that I'm a Nigerian also helped their case. It's not like it was purported personally towards
against
me.
you,
But the moment the Germans, for example, found out that, it was a Nigerian that did this, well, they were very serious trying to get it. And then eventually, when somebody came and said, I know the person, blah, 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 they thought, bingo, we have our man. So whatever you said to them does not really matter. We have a Nigerian, and we know who our target is. We have to get him.
That's.
Are you now saying that if you were to have another nationality, let's assume you are from Ghana or you are from Cameroon or you are from Rwanda or any other African country, they wouldn't have looked so deep the way they look onto you as a Nigerian.
It would have been different.
Can you make that clear statement so that those who are viewing us, they can see some of the things we are going through?
Well, he cannot say for sure how they're going to treat other nationalities. But for sure, there is an element of bias.
Yes.
Now, if it's another African, possibly there will be bias as well.
Yeah,
not
like
no that.
In Nigerian, because in Nigeria, we all know Nigerians. Whenever you mention a Nigerian, the next thing that comes to mind is criminality.
Yeah.
You're dealing with somebody whose ways are not clear or whatever, So, but when, for example, you talk of somebody from Rwanda, Rwanda does not have that kind of
situation or background.
Precisely, So the way they would treat somebody from Rwanda will be quite different from the way they would treat in Nigeria.
Or Ghana.
Because, or Ghana too, So it's going to be totally different. But it's not like what he said. There could still be some bias because we are blacks. I'm sorry to say that, but it is the truth.
Yeah.
But it won't be as deep as the way it is. you know.
Yeah. Now back to the book. You said there was a case. There was a first trial, which you said you lost, right? And you felt very bad about that.
Yeah.
Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, that was where I told the judge. I said, look at the photograph. If you doubt, call in an expert.
Yeah.
You know. But the judge it was as if I was talking to
a wall. He wasn't responding.
Eventually, I started shedding tears. I said, because I thought I was going to go home that day. I said to the lady, please, 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 take the pain to call an expert to look at the photograph. I'm not the one.
Yeah.
And the next thing, because I started shedding tears, the lady called for a recess, and I thought maybe you struck a chord in their hearts.
Yeah.
So they called for a recess. They took me downstairs, and they went to deliberate. Then they called me up, and the next thing, they said due to the seriousness of the case, that there was no way I was going to be released, that I was be remanded in jail, and I'll have to wait for their decision in 2 weeks' time.
Right.
And eventually, their decision came, and it was that I should be extradited to Germany to face trial.
Did that eventually happen?
No. What happened was thereafter, I now went to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Where I took one of the best lawyers here in Holland. And we got to the Supreme Court. In fact, something happened there which is very, very unusual. Not from the top lawyer I took. I don't want to mention his name because I didn't mention his name in my book because he was not, he didn't really work good for me, you know.
Okay.
So, but when we got to the Supreme Court, normally they call the prosecutor the devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Now you can imagine when the devil's advocate starts advocating in your favor, then that shows you there's a miracle. God is at work there, you know. So at the Supreme Court, the devil's advocate, after having looked at the evidences I presented, he said he thinks that there's a case of mistaken identity. This gentleman could not have been in Holland carrying out these activities and also be in Turkey delivering drugs. So I think there's a case of mistaken identity. So the case should be quashed, or the gentleman should be called again and retried. The case should be retried. You know? So when I saw this conclusion, I was so happy. I said, finally, justice is going to be served.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court should have given their judgment in 4 weeks, but it took them 2 weeks extra.
Wow.
6 weeks to come to their own decision. And I thought, well, it's going to be in my favor. But when they came out with that decision, they said, well, fine. They believed I was in Holland, but they also don't rule out the possibility that I'd gone to Turkey. That Turkey is just a few hours from here. I could have taken a flight come back and do my things. Yeah. So eventually they said, I should be extradited. Oh. You know? But then, as God would have it, where, you know, I believe that the power that be, that is more than that of mankind, that oversees everything, that providence, you know, that God of nature, that most high God, you know, he watches you go through things, but at the end of the day, he brings you out of it. You know, because I believe there's one thing, let me just take you aside. Like what my prophet says, Prophet T.B. Joshua, he says, in the university of God, he says, you will be made to take every course. You can't say because you're too brilliant, you will skip this course and go to no.
Exactly.
Whatever happened was for a purpose.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it has made me a better person and somebody that's closer to my God.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
So everything that happens was for a purpose. It was a stage that I had to pass through.
Wow.
You know? So eventually, when the time came, just out of nowhere, I woke up one morning in prison, and I went to the coffee room. There was nobody in the coffee room. I switched on the television, and then I was just going through the channels, and then I found a channel, ZDF. I found a German professor who was comparing, he had different photos of Saddam Hussein on the screen. You know, Saddam Hussein with beard, if he was bored or that was when the Americans were looking for Saddam Hussein in Iraq. And he was trying to make a dialogic analysis of everything. And I said to myself, oh, this is the man I need. Maybe if you could compare my photograph and this guy's photograph, then this case will be over. So almost immediately, I rushed out. I wanted to make a call, but it was already too late. They told us to go back to the room, you know. So I went to the room. Then immediately I had the chance. I made a call to the German lady. I said, listen, I just saw a program on ZDF with the professor comparing different photos of Saddam Hussein. I think we need that professor. Maybe he will be the one, for example, to tell these people that these two photographs are different. So eventually, she called ZDF, got the professor's number from ZDF, you know, and eventually she called the professor, and the professor said, I'm very busy, but I'll refer you to a colleague of mine who also does the same thing. And she called the professor, and the professor said, okay, fine, I can do it, but I don't work for individuals. I only work for the government, or if you tell the defense counsel, your lawyer, to send me everything, I can do it. And eventually, she called the lawyer up, and the lawyer now sent everything to him.
Wow.
And he did a comparison of it,
yeah,
and came out with a report that these two men on the photograph are totally different people.
And so he became, was he instrumental in the change of the case now?
Precisely.
Really?
Because nobody wanted to listen to me. Nobody wanted to do anything. The Dutch were not willing to compare whatever. They claimed that it was an extradition case. In an extradition case, it's not our case.
It's the other
side, you know. But what about an innocent man? Would you allow him to go over to the other side to go and defend himself when he can defend himself here?
Yeah.
You know, that's one flaw of the extradition treaty.
Wow,
you know, so eventually when he came out with the report and said we're not the ones, he now sent it to my lawyer. My lawyer now sent it to the German prosecutor.
Yeah.
But the German prosecutor was on holidays, and nobody wanted to take up the case. They said, no, let him come and do his job. So it took him 3 more weeks before he came back from holidays, and I was still in jail.
Yeah.
Eventually, when he came from jail, when he came back from vacation, he said he would not accept the report because he does not know the photographs that were used, and he was not involved. So eventually, he now he rejected the report. Yes. So my lawyer was now angry and now took the case back to the court there because the case had already been closed up to the Supreme Court.
Really?
Had lost the whole case in Germany. So, but he now said, look at this report from a professor we all know. We can't ignore this report. So that was when the judge now reopened the case and now told the prosecutor, I'm giving you 2 months to examine if you really have the right suspect in jail in Holland or not.
Exactly.
That was when the German police now called the Dutch. The man in jail, we don't really have any photographs or fingerprints of him apart from the very first one you sent. Send us, we've been telling you, send us fresh photographs and fingerprints. That was when the Dutch now ran to me in jail to take photos and fingerprints and now send back to the Dutch, to the Germans. Eventually, when the Germans received it, they now sent it to another professor who was always at loggerheads with the professor who had done the first comparison to see if he would disprove the report. But eventually, for the first time, 2 professors who were always at loggerheads, they agreed.
Wow.
And that was the breakthrough. I had to. They now said, oh, he's not the one. He should be released. Well, you would have thought that after my release, they would have come and say, oh, we are sorry, whatever. Till date, nobody has apologized. Even if not for Peter L. de Vries, the top whatever, who brought it out here, the Dutch only made a partial payment of the
compensation
for the cost, not even everything of what I had spent for the lawyers, just a tiny fraction of it. And the days I spent in jail. Till date, the Germans have refused to pay 1 cent. They never apologized, nothing. So I decided, well, to tell my story to the world, not just because of sharing my story, but so that this would not happen, to create an awareness among the people that this is going on. Let's talk about it. Let's not sweep it under the carpet. It's an issue that has happened before. It's still happening, and it will happen again. We have children growing up in this society. You know, we must start the fight against foregone conclusion.
Absolutely. Well, this story is so interesting. We need actually more time to delve into. By the way, we want to recommend the book. The book is Foregone Conclusion by Kenneth Ehigiene. And we truly recommend that you get this book. You will enjoy it. And you will get to know what is happening. Don't trust in the system. Trust in God only and His help. So sorry, we ran out of time, but I'm sure we're going to have to ask you to come back because the other sections of the book I wanted you to kind of bring out to share with us what you went through as a person, how you survived those things, because that's important for others to know as well.
So many things.
Yes. So please accept my thanks for being on the program today. And we're going to continue sharing this story. And please, do come back again when we invite you.
Okay, no problem.
Yes. God bless you, sir.
God bless you too.
Okay. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have to end it here. And we look forward to coming your way again. But please stay tuned because we have another very interesting program coming up shortly. God bless you, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.